Hello friends, this is Maiba from Florida. Welcome to my channel. Today we are going to go to Egypt. It was in my bucket list for a very long time. I wanted to go see the Great Pyramid of Giza. We all know how it looks on the outside, right? But I didn't know we could actually walk inside. So come with me, let's go explore how it looks on the inside of the pyramid.
The Great Pyramid of Giza is near Cairo, the capital city of Egypt. So once you land in the Cairo airport, it's just a half an hour drive to Giza. When we got to Giza, we could see the pyramids behind the buildings. It almost looked like it was photoshopped there because we were driving through traffic and the congestion. And then suddenly in the background, there are these huge pyramids. As we got to the edge of the city, the landscape dramatically changed. Everything looked like a desert. Actually, the pyramids are at the edge of the Sahara Desert. And there wasn't any trees or not even a blade of grass around it. We bought our entrance ticket and started walking towards the pyramids. There are actually 9 pyramids in this pyramid complex in Giza. The 3 huge ones are for the pharaohs, and the smaller ones are for the queens and their daughters. Today we are going to visit the biggest pyramid, the pyramid of Pharaoh Khufu. As we got closer, we could feel how massive this pyramid is. It was almost like a small mountain, and we seemed like little tiny ants next to it. After it was built, it was the tallest man-made structure on Earth for 3,800 years. And it still stands so majestic after 4,500 years. It's really amazing to think that they built this huge building without any power tools or cranes. And the base of this pyramid is more than 13 acres. Usually the entrance to every pyramid would be on the north face of the pyramid. So we started walking towards the north face of this pyramid, and I got a little confused as I came closer because it seemed like it had 2 entrances. Our guide explained to me that the one on top with the chevron rocks, that is the original entrance. Since this is a tomb of a pharaoh, no one was ever supposed to set foot in it once his body was laid to rest. So after they put his mummy inside, they blocked the entrance to the pyramid and they covered it with smooth limestone on the outside. So when it was completely finished, the entrance was all closed and covered, and people did not know where the original entrance was. So centuries later, when they wanted to enter the pyramid, they started digging in the north face, but they didn't know the actual entrance area. This is an intrusive opening. They sometimes call it the robber's entrance. This is the entrance that tourists use now to go inside the pyramid. We have to climb up these small steps that they have cut into the rock to go to the entrance. Guides are not allowed to come inside the pyramid, so our guide stood outside. As we go inside this tunnel, it's almost like a cave on the side of a mountain. The walls were so rugged and rough, but it was thankfully big enough for us to walk straight in. It was very well lit, but still it had a very primitive cave-like appearance. At the end of the tunnel, there were a series of small steps that led up. And before we go up the steps, let's first find out what is inside the pyramid and where we are going today. So there are 3 chambers inside the pyramid that people have access to. One of the chambers is actually underground. It's even under the pyramid, dug into the bedrock. This chamber, the walls are so unfinished, they don't know what it was used for. They probably used it for a ritual or to store treasure. This chamber is actually closed to public now. Another chamber in this pyramid is called the Queen's Chamber. The Queen's Chamber, the walls are all finished and it looks huge, but unfortunately they don't allow any tourists into the Queen's Chamber also. So the third chamber we see in the pyramid is called the King's Chamber. That is where we are going today. Since the King's Chamber is high up above the unfinished chamber and the Queen's Chamber, we have to walk up a series of steps to go up there. As we climb these small steps up, it actually leads to the original passage that they built to the King's Chamber. We can see a huge difference between how the tunnel was looking so rugged and rough to this finished, polished walls in this ascending passage. This passageway is actually really cramped and small and narrow. It's like a shaft that goes up. It is so small that we cannot stand up. We have to crouch down and walk. They built this passageway so narrow so it will not collapse under the heavy weight of the stones that are stacked on top of it. So for our convenience, they have added the handrails and the wooden floorboard that has steps on it, and also this passage is well lit. But imagine in those days when they actually mummified the pharaoh's body and brought it in here to bury, they did not have these lights or the handrails or the steps. So they had to slide the mummy up this shaft holding torches. This part was really uncomfortable for me. My kids did really well, but I was having a hard time because of my claustrophobia. But thankfully, there weren't many people, so there was not much of a traffic jam. At the end of this ascending passage, there is a gate, and this actually leads to the Queen's Chamber, but it is closed for public today. So we have to climb a metal ladder on the side wall and go up this grand gallery. This part of the passage is called the Grand Gallery because ceilings are really tall and it really opens up. It actually gave me a breather from my claustrophobia. We were able to stand up straight and we really enjoyed going up this part of the gallery. If you notice the side walls, they were corbelled. What that means is every layer of stone that they laid on top of the previous layer, they put it a few inches in. So the walls were coming in a little bit as it went up, and the ceiling was really narrow. It was almost like a pyramid shape. They did that to distribute the heavy weight that was on top of this gallery. This grand gallery is longer than a football field. And once we cross it and go to the other end, there was a small passageway that leads up to the King's Chamber. But this passageway is not too long, so it was easy to handle. I could see the other side where it opens up into the King's Chamber. Halfway through this narrow passage, the ceiling opens up. You see 3 grooves that once held the 3 massive granite blocks that blocked off the King's Chamber from the outside world. Once you enter into the King's Chamber, you see this huge room with tall ceiling and smooth granite walls. The room is lined with massive blocks of granite brought from Aswan. This is where the pharaoh's mummy was laid to rest, and this whole room was filled with treasures. But when the archaeologists found this room, there was nothing left. There was no mummy or any treasures. The only thing that is still there is the sarcophagus of the king. Sarcophagus is the stone coffin that used to hold the mummy. Now one corner of the sarcophagus is damaged and chipped off. When we went there, I went in and peeked inside the sarcophagus, and there was a guy lying down like a mummy. He actually scared me. I don't know why he was doing it. He was lying inside there and looked like he was meditating or something. It was funny. The walls are bare. It doesn't have any decorations or paintings like we see in the Egyptian museum. But to think that this huge room exists inside the pyramid without collapsing for 40 centuries, it's really amazing. There are also 2 tiny air shafts that goes from the King's Chamber all the way to the outside of the pyramid. They don't know the actual function of this air shaft. Some say it is to release the pharaoh's soul into the afterlife. Some say that it offsets the huge weight that's on top of the chamber. Once we are all the way inside, there's nothing much to do, so we just looked around a little bit and then took a few pictures. We just had to go back outside through the same passage. It was really hard to crouch down and walk down the descending passageway, so the better way is to just turn around and walk backwards like how you would come down a ladder. Once we came out, I was so relieved and happy that I actually went inside and did the whole thing, and I was able to handle it. We took some cool pictures on the outside of the pyramid. When I looked up to see the top of the pyramid, it was so tall I couldn't even see the tip. The guide took us around the pyramid and we were able to take some more cool pictures and look at the huge limestone blocks. After that, we went for the camel ride. The place we went for a camel ride is far enough from the pyramid that we could get a panoramic view of all 9 pyramids. It was a lot of fun. The guy who was in charge of the camels, he took really cool pictures of the whole family. Overall, this was an amazing experience and I was so happy we were able to do it. Now I understand why this pyramid is one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world.
I hope you enjoyed this video. I will be posting our Nile cruise and Abu Simbel and all the other cool places in Egypt in the near future. So please subscribe if you want to see those videos. Bye.